See a lot of people here. Can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. I see a bunch of people here online. I see nobody in person. I'm wondering if we just need to make this entirely, oh, we have a person. All right, Paul. You're our person.
Everyone else just run away from campus?
I think so.
Oh, that's not good.
Well,
Yeah, it's time with the gym membership. I need to show up in person.
oh yeah,
I mean, I gotta get my money's worth, right?
yeah. As I explain to people, you're still getting your money's worth if you're online because we are skilled professionals.
Yeah, but there's all these other things that are part of it.
That's true. That is really true. Let's see who's here. How are your kids doing, Alyssa?
They're good. I chose to school them virtually, and I'm kind of thinking, what the H was I thinking? I am not an educator.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is a big plot to cause people to appreciate teachers.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm still having to go to the school twice a day because my oldest is still playing football. So it's not like, we're just at home hanging out all day.
So how do they social distance while playing football?
That is an excellent question. Apparently, football helmets deter the transfer of COVID-19.
Oh, I did not know that.
Me either, but I mean, that's what I've learned. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear it. I hear that up at Fayetteville, the number of students who have COVID-19 is quite large, but the number of the football players is pretty small. So maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. I think it's because,
I don't know, this is doing away.
hi, you sure you mute if you're not talking to us? I think the football players came 2 weeks ahead and they tested them all. And if they had anything, they quarantined. And so now they're unquarantined and they're not interacting with anybody except each other who have all been quarantined. So I think that's apparently helping the football players. But all right, let me take attendance. Ariana?
Here.
Yes. Talia? Yes. Oh, I think you're in person this time. I like the picture behind you. Taryn, have not heard from. I threw away all these useless pens. Hey. All right. Paul's here. Reagan, I think I saw you. Joe's here in the room. La Destiny, yes, I see you. Ryuna, yes, I see you. Chloe's dropping the class. Dana, you there? Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Abby? Veronica, I think I saw you somewhere. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
And Brenda, yes.
Here.
Deasia, did I see you?
I'm
No.
here.
Oh, there you are, up at the top. You know, it kind of moves around the Brady Bunch things.
Yeah.
So, Liz?
I'm here.
Yes. Logan Tomczyk, there you are. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hello?
Hello.
Are you sick?
I was sick.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Whitney? Don't see it. All right, our attendance is though a lot better than Thursday. I guess everybody got a great break over Labor Day. So I have a feeling we probably will not get to all the things I wanted to get to for today. And so I will end up changing what it says that we're doing for Thursday. But so I'll just warn you that the website might have dates that will be changed by the end of today. Also, I figured out my problem from Thursday. I had not allowed, I blamed Zoom. I apologize to the Zoom gods. I had not allowed breakout rooms, so I now figured that out. There was another problem. Yes, there was a problem that I didn't understand the difference in Blackboard. And again, I blame Blackboard. And again, it was user error. I didn't understand the difference between really, this is what I want. I didn't understand the difference between a user group, I'm sorry, a content module and a folder. So, does everybody see my Blackboard screen online? You guys all see it? Just let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So when you hit unit 1, the problem I had, and I'm telling you this in case you ever get the same problem, I had neglected to open up this table of contents. So if you see here on the left where it says table of contents, there is a little line, there's a little sort of double line, and there is an arrow. And so when you press the little line, all you see is the first thing, and you don't see everything else, and you think, oh my God, I got rid of everything. However, there are several ways you can see it. One, which I did not notice the other day, was this arrow here to the right, because it says page 1 of 6. So this is a bunch of pages. The other way is to do it like this, and you can see the whole table of contents, and you can just go through and click on each item as you need to. So for in this case, like today, you were supposed to turn in a usability analysis of usability of one of your documents. That's the last item there. And then, as I said, you can also go through it page by page. The reason why Blackboard's created this is they also allow you to, as a teacher, to set this up so you have to, so the student has to go through step by step and can't go to the next item until they've seen the first item. And then the third little icon up here is this arrow, and that apparently is what I had done. I had moved it to the bottom and then hidden it somehow, like this. So my table of contents was down on the bottom, and I put that first line And now I want to put it back up there because I am comfortable with the left thing, but you might prefer the bottom table of contents. While we're talking about it, I should also say that one of the things that can happen when you're in Blackboard is you can hide the navigation menu. And you might want to do that because your real estate, that is your desktop or something, is too small for you to see the real things. So you want to hide temporarily the tables of contents in the navigation menu. And this way, when you do that, you can just see the content material there. And as you go through. Now, I personally prefer to see the whole thing because I guess I'm so used to it and I want to know where everything is. So again, when you go, if you're looking at the navigation menu in Blackboard, like this, somewhere along the way, there'll be a little spot about in the middle. Sometimes it looks like an arrow. Sometimes it looks like these, I've never actually seen it look like these two boxes before, but you click on that and you see it says hide course menu. Oh, it turned into an arrow there, right? And then you press over here, show course menu. Okay, so that's just a little helpful reminder that I had to teach myself. Is there anything else just on navigating Blackboard that anybody needs help with? Could everybody find everything they needed to?
Yes, a side note, but yours is like the most organized
Oh,
class.
I am sort of compulsive. I am the most organized, messy person in the world. So if you walk into my office or my home office, things are all messy, but it looks messy to somebody else. To me, it is super, super organized. My brain is organized, but you know, my life is disorganized.
Organized chaos.
Yes.
I will mention that when I was trying to do my submission, it would not go through. It kept getting an error message. I don't know if it was something within the system, within Blackboard. I don't know. I finally got it to upload just beginning of class.
Okay. So, who was that? Was that Alyssa?
Dana.
Dana? Eventually, I'll learn to recognize people's voices. But when I'm sharing, it's kind of hard for me to tell who's talking. So when you talk,
Yes,
if you'll let me know who's speaking out there. And those of you
Yes,
that in here, if you talk, let them know. Okay, so that was one of the things I was going to cover today, was how do you submit things into Blackboard. The assignment was to submit a document, an analysis of a document, excuse me, to the Blackboard drop-down box. And a lot of people had some problems with that. A lot of people had some uncertainty about the assignment, so we're going to be talking about it a little bit more. But why don't we start right now by talking about how you submit something to Blackboard. And Dana, it was probably not your problem. It was probably Blackboard's issue. Hi, Abby. So To submit something to Blackboard, first of all, you have to be on the submission box. And they used to call it box in Blackboard. Now it doesn't, but I still tend to call it box. So it may be something else sometimes. Basically, it's uploading assignment. I have my student view here, so I'm showing you what you do as a student. We're going to talk a little bit about this assignment, but let me first talk about how I would submit it into Blackboard. So on the screen, does everybody see on the screen something that says sample analysis, the garage washing memo?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I just need one person to say yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about this assignment, and but right now we're just going to talk about how do you submit into Blackboard. I asked you to submit it as a Google Doc, which is probably harder than other ways of submitting it. But let me show you how to submit it as a Google Doc. The way to submit it as a Google Doc is to type share. Share is the blue button at the top right. Anytime you have a Google Doc, you have a share button at the top right. And it's blue. Google likes to use blue for highlighting. So the important things in Google are always blue, at least in Google Docs. At the bottom of this little box, it says get link. The wonderful thing about Google Docs is it is up in the cloud, and so it's just a link it can be shared via a link. It doesn't matter what hard drive it's on. And so you click on get link, and it creates its link. Now, before you share it, you want to think about how you're sharing it and who you're sharing it to. So I have set this as UA Little Rock. Anyone in this group with this link can view. What that means is that if I give this link to somebody and they are within the UALR community, meaning they have a UALR email, which is why I emphasize you have to be in ULR email, because it doesn't know if you're not actually logged in. That is one of the ways to set it. Now, I only limit things, except for the very first text or documents in this class, I put everything as UALR limited. The very first things in the class, I said anybody who has the link can open it, because I didn't, because you might not know what I'm expecting yet. So, but now everything is going to be UALR limited. And the reason I do that is that I really don't want people getting all my teaching materials out on the web. Some of it is personal private information, i.e. student protectable information. Some of it is my own ideas. Some of it is just stuff. I do not want my stuff out there on the web. I only want people at UALR who can access my stuff. I do have other choices. I can change it to anyone with a link. I can change it to restricted. We're going to get a longer cord so you can I can move that, but right now the cord is too short to move. I could move that somehow, I'm afraid. I could click on restricted, which means only people that I specifically name. So I would actually type a name in there. Or I could go back to UA Little Rock. The other thing that I limit when I share is how people can see it. There are three kinds of options. One is viewer. That means somebody can view it and not touch it. I mean, not do anything to it. Can't even download it. Another thing is people can make comments. So we saw in that other document that we were looking at that people were able to make comments, and I just said, type your name in to show us who did it. That's a comment. And that's just something that you can do. Or you can say they're an editor, which means they can actually change the document itself. Now, when you're submitting something to me as a teacher, you need to submit it as either a commenter or an editor. Because if you submit it as a viewer, I can't even comment on it. I can't do anything with it. It's like a PDF, and you don't have any version of Adobe that allows you to work with it. So I'm going to submit this document to the instructor as a commenter, and the instructor happens to be a UALR person. Then I'm going to copy the link, and it says link copied, done. All right, so I have now copied it. Go back to Blackboard, upload. All right. Blackboard is set to attach documents from a hard drive or other thing. If it looks like it allows you to attach cloud documents, but this link does not ever work. So the way to do it is the way to attach a Google Doc is on the right submission. You click on this, and there you have your text doc. And I saw that everybody who submitted something, they knew how to click on right submission because they wrote something there. And all you do is you copy and paste the Google Doc into the text box. If you would like to make my life easier, you will take this and you will make it a hyperlink. So in any text box in Blackboard, there are tool options, and they are in these 3 lines, and the same options are in any text box in Blackboard. One option that is so helpful is this hyperlink. That is sort of in the middle of the middle line of editing commands. And it says insert edit link. You click on that, and you copy that link again. And let me do it this way. You click insert, and it'll tell you, it won't show correctly unless open in its own window. Do you want to open its own window? Yes. I have no idea why it does that every time. Why not have the default open to its own window? I don't get it. In any case, notice I now have a hyperlink. So if I press this, you will see it. And I can add a comment. I can add more text. There's plenty of things I can do. And then I can move my And it says, when finished, make sure to click submit. Submit. And then you will get this nice purple thing. Success, your submission appears on this page. The submit blah, 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 as proof of your submission. If you don't trust the technology, you can copy that. When I go to grade something or look at something, I basically get this same screen, and I just click on submission text, which is right here, and then I can open it to it. Now, if you don't hyperlink it, that's fine. I just copy and paste it up to my browser and stick it in the URL window, and I can open it. That is, if you've given me permission to open it. Sometimes people forget to do that step that I talked about at the beginning of making sure that anybody with a ULR email can open it. Okay. Questions about that process?
I have a question. It's Brenda here.
Hmm?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so yesterday I had submitted the document for the homework, but I didn't go through this whole process. I basically saved it as a PDF form and uploaded it to Blackboard. Do I have to redo it this way, or is it okay?
It's okay for this. I'm just wanting to show everybody what I'm asking for.
Okay.
Here's the reason why I prefer for it to be a Google Doc. So I click on this as the teacher. And then what I do is it's already been saved to my drive, but if it's not, I just save it to my drive. To the folder of these assignments. Teaching 3316. Spot the difference exercises, and I just move it here, which I've already done. Well, no, I haven't done. Now, I don't know if you saw that, but there were other ones in there. There were PDFs and Word documents. So I can do the same thing with them as well. I actually prefer not to work with PDFs because when a Google Doc is view only, a PDF, I can't usually comment directly on unless I can go in and access my fancy expensive Adobe that allows me to do it. And for some reason, because of all the updating of permissions that they're doing around here, that's becoming hard. But let me show you about how you can do it, because for example, lots of times teachers and other situations may prefer you to submit something else in a different format. So back to my memo that I'm doing, and let me point out, just here's the title of my document. There's in the syllabus this picky file naming thing that I'd like. It starts with my last name. That's so that when I save it to my drive, I've got it all by everybody's last name. I realize a few of you have last names that don't match your ULR last name. I can handle that. Under File, you have a variety of ways to download something. Under File, you click on Download, and then under Download comes a whole bunch of options. I would not recommend open text document format or rich text format. They used to be really transportable, but they aren't anymore. I don't know why. But of course, you all know about Microsoft Word, and you all know about PDFs. And you also probably know about plain text. So if you want to download it as Microsoft Word document, you just click on that. And it should come up. It's probably hidden somewhere behind a screen. Oh, look, it's right here down at the bottom. And on a different screen, not on the screen that we're sharing, it now opens up in a Word document. And then you could save it as a Word document wherever you want. Same thing with a PDF. You could say download it as a PDF. And you see here at the bottom, it's downloaded as a PDF down here. And I will say that different computers are going to do things differently. And, you know, it may instantly go to your folders to download, or it may go to your downloads. Just depends on the settings that you have for downloads. But here's the same document. Well, it'll open in another screen, so we won't worry about that. So how do we submit a document? How do we submit a document that is a Word document or a PDF? It's exactly the same with those two things. So we're going to go back to my Blackboard submission box. And I've set it so that you can submit multiple times. So it says start new. And this time I'm going to submit a Word version of it. How do I find it? I browse my computer. It's in the downloads. I've got both the Word version and the PDF version. I open it up, and you see here attached files are there. It gives you the chance to change your mind, and you can say do not chance, or you realize you attached the wrong thing, blah, blah, blah. You can add a comment in your text submission. Here is my document. And I can also add comments. Here are comments. Whoops. And when I'm done, I can submit. It also allows you to save a draft, which means you can come back later if you're working on it. Now, sometimes in Blackboard, the teacher will only allow one submission, depending on what the situation is. And so sometimes you have to be really, really careful. So I've now submitted it twice. My second type was a Word document, and this is what it shows. Now, if you see up here, it says attempt 2. My first attempt looks like this. Submission text is already open, and this is the link, and it opens it up. And as a teacher, I can set it to have unlimited attempts. I think I probably will change this particular assignment to unlimited attempts for practicing. And also you could set it for a certain set number, 3. I think that's what it's currently set at. Okay, questions? So Dana, I'm not sure at what point, was it Dana that said you were having trouble? You go back.
Yes, ma'am, but you going through everything, how you just went through the way you want to do it, I would have been wrong anyway, because I did not go through any number of those steps. I just done it very simple.
So,
So I will resubmit, since we have an unlimited deal, I'll resubmit in a little bit.
okay. It doesn't, it really doesn't, well, for this assignment, it's fine. So one of the things that, you always need to be doing while you're a student is pay attention to the little details. I wanted you to submit it by Blackboard through a Google Doc because I want you to learn how to use Google Docs. So actually further on, Word, Google Docs, whatever, it really doesn't matter to me. But I do want you to be able to use and share and function within the Google universe. I have a handout somewhere that I will post by the end of today that goes through all of these steps. And I want to remind you that there are resources in the course website, Technology Tips and Resources. So the Blackboard help that UALR has created is here. The Blackboard help that UALR has kind of created out of Blackboard companies' help is there. These two are documents that I've created. I will add the submitting to Blackboard there as well. How to work with Google Drive and Google Docs. If you haven't gotten it, if you're having trouble with Google Drive and Google Docs, my recommendation, I design them just so that you go through step by step. I think it's easier if you have either a split screen or a printed copy of the instructions, and then you can follow it step by step and do it a couple times, and then it'll become second nature. It is really, really easy once you get it. All right, so I want to go back to some other things. We're going to start talking today about CRAP, a mnemonic for remembering some key things about organizing and formatting and designing documents. But I want to go back to a couple activities that we've done. Specifically, let's start with the class groupings of workplace documents. So this is an ongoing document, and I'm assuming that some people are understanding a little bit more about what we're asking for as we go along than you did the very first day. And so I want you to keep working with this document. Specifically, I want to make sure everybody understands the 4 categories that I'm using in this document. Oop, that was better before. Wanted to zoom in on the screen. There there are 4 categories in this document. And we are going to be talking about these over and over throughout the semester. Context. Sometimes we talk about the rhetorical situation. Which in a way is a broader term. But the point about context is that here's a document and what's around the document. What's the situation around this document? Documents do not just float out of the sky. Sometimes it seems like when people are teaching people how to write, it's like they're acting that writing just shows up. It doesn't. It always arises in a context, in a situation. Even if you're writing a personal journal that you never intend to show anybody else, that's a context, that's a situation. Even though you have no intended audience other than yourself, or maybe yourself later on, or maybe you're hoping somebody will find your journal and find out all these secrets about you, whatever. Context always exists. Writing is never in a vacuum. So, we suggested some of these specific contexts. Purposes. What is the purpose of the writer? And people have started putting some of these purposes down. Persuade, instruct, inform. Maybe it could be congratulate, eulogize, entertain. There's many, 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 many purposes. So there's always going to be a purpose. Explore, like my example of the journal people write. Intended result by the audience. What do you, as the writer, want the reader to do? You want them to just go, aha, now I understand X. Do you want them to do something? Do you want them to make sure that they show up for class? Do you want them to make sure they know what all the rules are so they don't get kicked out of the program? What is it that you want them to do or know as a result of this document? And we're going to talk about that with the next assignment. We're going to talk about kind of the bottom line purpose that you're trying to achieve. What's the bottom line that you want to make sure they get? Fourth, what's the relationship? So my point about reminding you about this is that I want to make sure that every single document you've added here, you have identified all 4 of these features. So I went in and remember my example is this letter from the attorney to me. All right, so here's it under the context category. And I've highlighted in blue just so you can see. And here's my purpose. It's inform. Letter from attorney to Dr. Madsen. In a way, it's more than inform. It's more like maybe an instructions. It really was more of an instruction. I think I'm going to stick it here. Here's the thing. I think I'm going to kind of do that. This is one of the cool things about Google Docs. You can just make changes like that because I've got editing right. Intended result by the audience. Fill out forms, sign papers, paperwork, get programs. There's a whole lot of stuff. I sent back her a letter that included something I had to sign. And I got a return to sender from the post office, and it said inadequate address. So I took a picture of the address and sent her the picture and said, "Isn't this your address? What's wrong?" And she said, "It's the address, but you forgot to put a stamp on it." So just forgot to, anyway, the post office said inadequate address. So I just didn't even look at the fact that there was no stamp. Maybe it got lost, maybe it fell off, I don't know. And then finally, the relationship between the writer and the audience. So what you should be doing is not only adding a document or 2 or 3 to this list, but make sure each document you add, you've identified each one of these things. Okay? Are there any questions about that particular thing?
No questions from here.
You guys both have your mask below your nose. I don't even have a mask on. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're far away from me. That was because when I first started, there was only one person in the room. Now there's 2. How funny. Okay. So another thing, so now I want to go talk about the Spot the Differences assignment through part 3. So again, remember I just said, be sure you pay attention to the instructions. So somehow, when so many people get it kind of confused, I figured that I'm probably not making things clear. So about 5 or 6 of you seem to have gotten it right, but the rest did not. So I take responsibility for that. I'm pretty sure that I was less than clear, and I probably skipped over it too fast, and so that's why. And I see now why it looks, why it's confusing. So here's the homework that was for today. Oh, and by the way, originally I put the deadline, the deadline as 1:30 a.m. I don't know if any of you noticed, you may be set so Blackboard sends you deadline notifications. Anyway, I changed it to 1:30 p.m. when I got one this morning that was marked as late by Blackboard, and I thought that doesn't make sense. Because I'm going to be asking you to keep working on this, I will probably change the deadline on it again. But here's the assignment. Find one document you've received at work or in school. Bring to class and be prepared to show and discuss about ways the document is or is not usable. The document should be something that you come across in your life, something you know the context of and can speak knowledgeably about. Submit the document and analysis. Oh, and I didn't say Google. Oh, I lied. Submit the document analysis to Dr. Matson via Blackboard before class. Okay, so first of all, I have to admit, I'm sorry, I did not say anything about submitting via Google Docs. I apologize. But I want you to learn how to do that anyway. Second of all, what I did say was submit the document and the analysis to me before class. The reason I wanted it before class was so I could see how everybody understood. And I found that people didn't really understand. So this is why I wrote my own. When we first started looking at the Spot the Differences exercises, I showed you an original memo better. Showed you an original memo and a revision. There was this, let's see if I have that. Here's the original about the garage washing plan. And I don't know if I, and I redid it with headings and lists and some bold and a lot more white space. So this is what I'm asking for you from of this assignment. It's not a big deal, but I do want you to actually give details. So some of the problems with the original garage washing memo are the following. Tone. There is minimal attempt to apologize or explain or sustain a relationship. That has a lot to do with this relationship idea. And also kind of with making sure that people understand why they're getting this. Structure. This is the main problem. All the information is in one chunk, so it is difficult to process. Important information like what to do is hidden. And we saw that. Order and timing. The actions are out of order, so you don't know to remove your belongings first. The most important information probably are the dates, and they are difficult to process because stated in a sentence rather than a list. And then headings. The one heading is not informative. So this is just a few things, and I was trying to just do kind of the minimal of what you would want to put in your analysis. So in your submission, we should get both the document itself and the analysis. Does everybody know what analysis is? What is an analysis?
It's just a breakdown of all the parts of a thing.
Yeah, analysis literally means breaking things down. And there are lots of ways to break things down, but in this particular case, breaking down what makes it wrong or poorly done, or maybe less efficiently organized or less usable. I've been trying to use this usability concept. It's not that everything
Okay,
is
so
right. Yeah, go ahead.
Miss Madsen, this is Veronica. So what you're wanting is the actual document and you're wanting just the analysis. You don't want the actual revision.
No, although somebody did do a revision, and actually to do a revision is a lot harder, so I didn't ask for it. And to do a good revision, you really have to understand it. So, for example, Alyssa, she did a revision without an analysis. I think I have it available. Yes, I will have to go. All right, can everybody see an Arkansas Bow Hunters Association document? Alyssa, are you still online?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you did a really
ma'am.
nice revision. What were the things that you felt needed to be revised?
Well, really kind of the whole thing, because it all kind of ran together. And they said they used way too many words to say something that could have been said much more simpler.
Okay, so is it just wordiness?
It was way too wordy, and then what they were asking of the person to do. So they're basically saying review your personal information, and if your personal information is not correct, either log into your account to change it yourself or email Arkansas Bow Hunters Association and they'll fix it for you. But they used way too many words to say it, and then what they wanted you to do, none of it was in bold letters. And I just prefer, if there's a task for me to do, for it to be highlighted and it not to be like the same font and the same, not be it bold or anything like that.
Okay. So how did you focus on what they wanted? In your revision, what did you do to make it focus on what you wanted them to do?
So I reworded a significant amount of what they were asking for, but where it says like name and address and all of that stuff, I made all of that in bold letters. And then whenever it said how to fix it, if the information wasn't correct, I put either or in bold and italicized letters.
So one of the things, so if you look at the original, which that version is not a very good version. No. We'll stick with it. Well, I've lost it. There it is. All right. If you look at the original, you'll see there are a lot of words here and a lot of kind of explanation. One of the things she did was shorten a lot of the words and get this, take time to view the following information. After that, what did you do, Alyssa? After kind of focusing on that.
Alyssa, your mic is off.
Good point. Thank you. I just kind of shortened up the summary of how to fix the personal information if it's not correct.
Okay. So the whole first section of this memo focuses on the main purpose of the memo, which is to make sure their information is correct.
Yes.
And you kept everything else out of it. And then you introduce the subpoints of it. They have two sub-goals. One is to get people to volunteer, and 3,
They want money.
they want money.
They want your membership.
Right. And so she divided up sort of the purposes of this memo into the uptake that she wants people to do. 1, check to make sure information's correct. 2, volunteer. And 3, give money, become a member. And she used the way she organized it to emphasize those. Before, they were all sort of jumbled up together. And in this way, by thinking through what were the purposes, what was the uptake that the audience was supposed to do, she could kind of highlight it and then become less wordy. And the becoming less wordy was just kind of a, I think we're good. Let's hope we're good. I hope they give us a bunch of really good Starbucks gifts once they finish with this situation. Okay. So I'm going to reopen this, or keep it open, extend this assignment. I'd like everybody to kind of keep working on this. And actually, the next topic will be helpful in thinking about what you've done. So over here we are 10 minutes before the end of class. Finally getting to what I really want to talk about today. Okay. So did you enjoy telling your family and friends you were learning about craft this week? I hope you all did. This idea of using these 4 concepts for contrast, R for repetition, A for alignment, and P for proximity has become a really common and useful idea. In fact, if you were to Google it, you would find hundreds and hundreds of examples. It's all developed by a person named Robin Williams, who's written a great book. It's not the same Robin Williams. In fact, this is a woman. But it is extremely useful as a heuristic. A heuristic is like a mnemonic, something that helps you remember. And it's possible to kind of put all of the ideas of designing documents, and design means more than just visual design, although that's important, but it's everything, how you organize it, how you lay it out, how you make things accessible to your readers. So one thing that's obvious, we've seen this all the time, is contrast. And then he's going to talk about contrast of a lot of different things. Color, size, shape, font. And you've seen these examples, the examples, and if you don't get the examples and see how the good one is better than the other one at first, keep looking at it until you understand what they're saying about what makes it better. Contrast in type gets at something that we will talk a lot about, and that is the heading architecture. In professional writing, we use terms heading 1, heading 2, H3, H4. And as we've been looking at these documents that you've all taken a look at, you've seen that some have had headings, and different headings are at a different size or color or font to show you the hierarchy between them. So definitely be sure you read that. There's an interesting article about hierarchy of fonts on the website. Shape. In this document, you see how there's this contrast in circles, and really it's size of circles. There's not much other than circles here, except for this one bar graph at the bottom. The same things that we talk about with contrast, we can talk about repetition. In a way, repetition is the inverse of contrast. So it's good to have a contrasting colors. But if you have too many colors contrasting in something, then it becomes confusing and disunified. And so instead, what you want to do is repeat a similar color scheme or font scheme or shape scheme or heading scheme, etc. So this is a really poorly designed website. They actually got it from some website that shows a bunch of bad websites. And part of the reason is that it's so much contrast, so much color, different kinds of icons, different colors, different fonts, different sizes. You have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little columns here, but they're not all the same shape. So what it needs is much more repetition so that there can be a unity. And you see that in this one, where you have something that is being repeated in the document. So there's a picture under each one of these things. Each picture is the same size. Everything on this side of the website, each first degree heading, or H1, is the same size, is the same font, is the same capitalization, is the same color. And that repetition gives it a sense of unity and coherence. Now, why does this matter with writing? Well, because if you want people to read your writing, you don't want them distracted by chaos. You want them to focus on what you want them to focus. And so that's why using CRAP can be so helpful. Now, what I had hoped to do, we will do on Thursday. So let me point out what you should do by then. So in the week 3 of the design of workplace writing, which I'm going to change to week 3 and 4 probably, I've added the sample analysis that I did from Spot the Differences. And I've added a CDC poster for that CDC has prepared. What we're going to do in class is we are going to apply the concepts of CRAP, C-R-A-P, to this poster and then some other posters. So, for example, contrasts, are there contrasting colors? Repetition, are there repeating of certain things, certain fonts, certain approaches, certain ways of organizing? And we'll get to the other two items in CRAP, alignment and proximity as well. So, for homework, here's our homework. Go back to the collection of documents. Make sure you've completely at least taken each of your items and put them in in each category. 2, keep working on this Spot the Differences 3. It will be opened up and the deadline will be changed to Thursday so that everybody can make sure that they kind of can begin to talk about the things that make something usable and less usable. A lot of what we're learning are vocabulary for talking about things. So people say, it's not organized. Well, that's an informative statement, but in what way is it not organized? What are the things that keep it from being organized? Is it the topic? Is it headings? Is it layout? What, or format? What exactly is it that's the problem? So when you start looking at your document again and adding your analysis, you can also add in this CRAP elements as well. So lots of you, well, most of you, well, the ones I saw were kind of split between positive and negative. So if it's positive and you say it's real organized, how does it give that sense of organization through the contrast and repetition, for example? Okay. And then thirdly, take a look at that CDC document and just start thinking about the CRAP analysis. And if you haven't read the whole CRAP analysis, then be sure to go ahead and do that. Okay, questions? Okay, I think I answered all the questions in the chat. All right, I hope everybody's doing well. And thankfully we didn't get burned down because it was a false alarm. See you Thursday.